This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's Silent Witness, Cold Case True Crime Podcast with your hosts, Angela.
Hello, everyone.
And Christina, me. How are you, Angela? Everything good on this lovely afternoon here in...
Everything is wonderful. Everything is good this way.
All right.
Looking forward to this next case so we can see if we can do something to help someone.
This case means a lot to me, and you'll see why as we get going. Okay, so this next case is a cold case, and it takes us to 2022. So it's a recent case, 3 years ago.
Yes, it's recent.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't that long ago, but let's do a little history. You know, people forget what happened 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden was president.
Hi, Joe.
Sleepy Joe. Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. And this is the court case that allowed abortion to be legal. Russia invades Ukraine. And at the movies was Top Gun Maverick, personal favorite. And topping the music charts was Lizzo and Ed Sheeran.
Okay.
So I do want to start out by giving a special thanks to Vaughn Staggs' daughters, Dottie and Kathleen. They met with me for hours to help me put this story together, answered questions on the phone and over text. So this family is just, these girls are amazing. These ladies, they're not girls. Ladies are amazing. And they were honest and, in such pain but they have the determination and the tenacity to fight for justice.
Okay.
So they were wonderful ladies, and their mom would be proud of them.
Okay.
So we're going to go to Teague, Texas. Okay. Teague is a small town outside of Mahia. In Central Texas. It's tiny town. It's got a population of about 3,500 people.
Okay, that's very small.
Yeah. And like I said, it's just like, 10, 15 minutes outside of Mahia.
Okay.
Everybody knows everybody. This is in Freestone County. And everybody knows everybody here in this town. It was tiny. So, Vaughn Epps was born December 10th, 1958. She was the youngest of 5 children, grew up in Alabama, and they moved to Florida, and she was raised on a dairy farm.
Okay.
Her childhood was good and normal. Everything was fine. No problems, issues, just the normal life. Vaughn had a daughter, Dottie, at a young age, and began working and this was in Florida, at a hospital in food service. They soon moved in with a friend named Tammy. And Vaughn was working, raising her daughter. Vaughn was young. She'd go out with friends. Her daughter was always taken care of. Just like any young girl, she went out, and hung out and did young girl things.
Right.
But her daughter was never neglected. She was always well taken care of.
She had a good support system.
Yes. Vaughn is described as sweet, God-fearing lady, a hugger. She would do anything for anyone. Mm-hmm. She will tell you the truth, even if it's hard to hear. And she was very blunt about it. But at the same time, it was out of love and caring. And there wasn't a mean bone in her body.
Okay.
Just never met a stranger. Just a wonderful lady. Like she needs to be my mom. She loved with everything. And it's evident when you meet her daughters. You can tell they're everything good about her mom.
Yeah, they have that same spirit.
Yes. Yes. While still in Florida, Vaughn met Mike Staggs and they began dating. This was about 1986 when they began dating.
Okay.
He eventually moved in with Vaughn.
Mm.
So Vaughn, Mike, and Dottie they were in a duplex. Okay. So if you can picture it, they lived on one side and their friend Tammy and her family lived on the other side.
Oh, okay.
So they still had, family around. Dottie told a story she was about 9 years old and she went riding a bike. She hit a pebble and flipped her bike.
Ooh.
Her friends took her home. She was all bloodied and banged up. Her mom was at work, but Mike was home.
Okay.
He cleaned her up, gave her a bath, and put her on the couch. And Dottie as a child was kind of falling asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike's,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mike seemed unbothered, but Tammy's husband came over and noticed there's something wrong here and immediately took her to the hospital, and she ended up being seriously injured.
Oh, wow.
Underwent surgery and, mom came. So it was just a whole thing. But regardless of this, Dottie recalls her childhood is really great. And she did look at Mike as her dad. He was a father figure.
Okay.
He would take her fishing, coon hunting, which is hunting raccoons.
I know exactly what that is.
Well, I know what it is, but I don't understand it. But anyway.
Well, one point in history, that's what people ate for a living. Yeah.
Okay. Learned something new. Okay, so remember, the family still lived in Florida. Now, Michael loved fishing. He always went fishing. And I believe he went fishing with their uncle, or maybe it was Tammy's husband. I'm not sure, but it went fishing with somebody, a friend. And so somehow the police pulled him over. Now, lo and behold, Mike had some warrants from other states. Mike was a naughty boy.
Oh, okay.
So specifically, he had warrants out of Georgia and Texas. And from what the family says, they believe it was cocaine and marijuana trafficking, something like that. And you got to remember, back in the 90s, 80s, and even today, it's illegal in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So he was extradited to Georgia first, served his time for drug charges. Dottie remembers taking long drives to visit Mike in jail in Georgia.
Okay.
So once that time was completed, he was sent to Texas.
Texas.
Yep. Specifically, Freestone County to deal with the charges there. The family, again, believes he was a drug runner and, took the cocaine, multiple states, just the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
I did attempt to research this, specifics, so I could be more specific on his crimes. But Freestone County, their court records aren't online. I tried other websites that I typically will use, and I can't find anything on.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but just to also see how he did his time, because that's kind of unclear. But they believe that the family believes he served his time there in Freestone County. So whatever sentence he got, he wasn't transferred to TDC, Texas Department of Criminal Justice. He did his time there.
He did it at the jail.
At county jail, yeah.
Okay.
But once they transferred him here to Texas, Vaughn and Dottie followed and moved to Freestone County. So that's how they ended up in Texas.
Okay.
And they followed to be with him. And so this would happen to be around 1990, around that time period. So the county seat is Fairfield, and this is where they lived in the beginning. So Mike worked during his sentences, like a work release.
Okay, work release program.
Yeah, except for he worked for the sheriff's office while doing his time. And from what they said, he would work for the jail and then come home at night, not go to the jail at night. So I'm not sure. Maybe he was on probation. I don't know. This was also the 90s. Things were different then. So again, that's why I tried to research it so I could be more clear. But
right. Okay.
Basically, he served his time and probably did a bunch of community service with it. Sounds like. He worked with the sheriff's office and I don't know. I don't know specifically what the sentence was.
Okay.
But Mike is described as a charmer and would fool anyone. He's just one of those, very much a charmer, especially when you first meet him.
Mm-hmm.
But I will get more into his personality in just a little bit. Yeah. Now, I want to point out Dottie and Mike were close. That was, it was a good, close dad relationship at this time. Up until Dottie began dating.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So like most dads, Mike was protective. But the next story may push protection a little too far. So Dottie began dating her now husband, Travis, when she was, a teenager.
Oh, okay.
So Travis and Mike got along great. They went fishing together. They went hunting together, all the things. Now, once Mike found out that Travis and Dottie were sleeping together, Mike flipped his shit. He flipped. He began screaming and cussing. He just lost his mind.
Well, and rightly so, because he's thinking he's friends with him and he's dating the daughter.
Well, no, he knew they were dating. He didn't know they were sleeping together.
Well,
he knew they were boyfriend, girlfriend.
Well, what was, come on. Duh.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
You got me.
Yeah.
So it turned out a big old fight ensued. So Dottie called Travis, say, hey, come get me. I got to get away from here. Mike is gone crazy. So once Travis arrived to pick her up, Mike got physical with him and put him like in a chokehold. And so now by this time, Dottie's mom, Vaughn and Dottie, they had a good relationship. Vaughn knew their relationship was sexual, was a typical boyfriend-girlfriend sexual relationship. They were close, but they kept it from Mike. So, Vaughn understood girls are going to have sex with their boyfriend. And this was a serious relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, Dottie moved out of the house of Mike and Vaughn's home. And it began a strained relationship between Dottie and Mike that never really recovered.
Oh, okay.
So, and eventually, Dottie and Travis got married and had 2 kids. So, yeah. Now, remember, at this time, Mike and Vaughn were not married. They did not legally get married until 2006, but they'd been together since 86.
Wow.
Yeah.
So. But they were living together in Texas. It was common law anyway. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about their relationship, Vaughn and Mike. Mike worked as a mechanic by trade, and they eventually settled in Teague. Mike was controlling. Vaughn would have to rush home to make sure dinner was made, the table was set, Mike was taken care of. He was also financial and emotionally and even sexually abusive. He was all of it, but physical.
That is not a happy life.
No. And as far as Vaughn's daughters knew, he hadn't been physically abusive, but he was abusive in every way. And I mentioned he was controlling. He would call and text her constantly, non-stop. He always accused her of cheating.
Narcissist.
Yeah. Always. She's always cheating. Always cheating.
Oh, poor lady.
The behavior went as far back as the family could remember. Even mentioned that when Vaughn moved here, she worked at McDonald's. I think that was in Fairfield. And he would call and pick fights with her then.
So she couldn't even do her job.
Right.
Without him harassing her.
Right. Vaughn worked several jobs, like I said, McDonald's, but she eventually settled for Brookshire Brothers in Teague. So she worked there for 24 years. That's
a good job.
Yeah.
Once you get there, you stay.
So let me just explain a little bit, because Brookshire Brothers is sort of down here, but Brookshire Brothers has several stores in Central Texas, but it is different than Brookshire's grocery company, which is mostly in East Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas. They're the same family, but different companies.
Right.
Okay. So she was a non-food manager at the store. Loved her job. Loved the people she worked with, and her daughter even worked there. I think she still does. I can't remember. But, Dottie worked there. Also by now, Dottie, Dottie was married, had kids, and her sister Kat eventually moved to Texas to be closer to her family, to mom and her sister.
Mm-hmm.
She had been living, I think, in New Jersey and then just moved here. Now, let's jump back to Mike and Vaughn's relationship. Vaughn, by this point, lost a lot of her family, getting older, a lot of her family, sisters, brothers, whatever. She was the youngest of 5. So, parents died. And so her sister was still alive and lived in Georgia. Her sister's husband had committed suicide. They said he they were older and he had gotten diagnosis of cancer and didn't want to go through that and committed suicide. So Vaughn wanted to go visit, be with her sister during this time. You think Mike's going to let that happen?
No.
Mike wouldn't hear of it.
Not unless he's there too.
And Vaughn knew he'd be pissed, and he was. She eventually did go visit. She didn't give in to his demands not to go. She eventually went, and basically the family said, you're going, I'm taking you. Come on. So she went. Now, Mike at this point has a lot of health issues himself. He had diabetes that he didn't take care of and eventually lost both of his legs.
Oh.
This made him even more demanding of Vaughn. Vaughn would work all day, then go home and have to take care of him. So he was not at all thankful for her, caring for him. Just the opposite. If he didn't get his way, he'd throw fit, cuss, throw things. And, she was just the kind of personality that, wouldn't fight back. It was just like, whatever.
Go along to get along.
Yeah. And also, to keep the peace, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
But according to his family, his illnesses did not stop his demands for sex either.
Oh.
Anyway, I digress. Back to the trip to Georgia. Vaughn spent time with her sister. They talked, had a wonderful time. But when Vaughn got home, good Lord, hell broke loose. In a huge fight. Because, again, Mike was accusing, she went because she was cheating, according to Mike.
Oh, okay, yes.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
That was the only way she would go, is because she's a cheater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A narcissist, just like you said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And at this point, Vaughn may have had enough. She was likely at her wit's end with Mike. You eventually have enough. And you could tell somebody, because we've both known people that have lived like this. And you could tell them all day long, you got to leave. But they got to figure that out for themselves.
Right. They got to arrive at that moment themselves.
Yeah. And she may have been there. We don't know. This is just speculation on my part. It's been 36 years of fighting, calling incessantly, rarely. And, again, she didn't fight back. Being with somebody like that breaks you down. It beats you down.
It breaks your spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for all of these years, Vaughn, like many moms, didn't want to be a burden on her daughters. But Kat eventually built a small little pool house / apartment behind hers. So how people have like pool houses. So she made it into like an apartment for Vaughn.
Okay.
And so Vaughn had a place to go. And I'm guessing she was maybe seriously thinking about it in a more serious way. Okay, I'm not going to be a burden. I'll have my own place. Yeah, maybe. Her family feels that Vaughn may have spoke to her sister about the situation. Who knows? Not really sure. But regardless, Mike really did believe she was leaving him and that she was cheating. So, at this point, Mike really thinks, okay, she's leaving. Now, I'm going to jump back a little. I'm kind of jumping all over the place here. So Vaughn worked for Brookshire Brothers in Teague. And she usually would work the early morning shift. Her routine, she had a set routine. I don't know, like if you have a set routine in the mornings, I do. I'm strict on my routine. But you wake up early, deal with her animals, her dogs, and Mike, getting coffee, let the animals out, all the things. And so she would get to the store about an hour before her shift. Hour and a half before her shift. She would sit in her car, relax, take time for herself, check on family, read the Bible. They had this app together, and I can't remember the name of the app. I should have got it before I came on air, but and that would show basically everybody's location. And so she would check.
Oh, one of those apps.
Yeah. So Dottie's husband is a sheriff's deputy for Freestone County, so she would check on him, and Kat's husband, I think, is a truck driver. Check on him. Check on the daughters, the grandkids, so forth.
Right.
Now, according to her family, she never had the same exact routine. It would be different times. I mean, the same routine, but she would still go to work early. Does that make sense? So the store, let's say her shift began at 5:30 in the morning, but the store opened at 7. Then she would get there at 4:30 or 4 o'clock.
Wow.
And she would just sit in her car waiting for her coworkers to get there, just relaxing.
She'd done that to get away from him too.
I think so. I think it was just to get some peace.
Right.
So, it would just depend. It was never the exact same time she would get to the store, because sometimes she couldn't go into the store till 5 a.m. or 5:30. So
just various times.
Yeah, but she would get there.
But always early.
Yeah. But regardless, it was her alone and quiet time. And Mike did not like that. Mike felt she was going there to meet up with somebody.
Right.
So let's jump to February 23rd, 2022. A typical morning, like every other morning, probably a little chilly. Vaughn got ready for work, headed to the store, sat in her car. She got there around 4 a.m. She was scrolling on her phone, like she always did. Her window was cracked a little bit because she was smoking a cigarette. A white or maroon car pulled in about 4 minutes after Vaughn parked. Circles the gas pump, I believe, twice. And so you have the store, and then there's gas pumps closer to the road.
Okay.
So I went to the store after I talked to the family, and so I could see what they were telling me. So circles the gas pump, and the parking lot. And it's a pretty good size parking lot for the store. And eventually pulled up to Vaughn's car, got out, shot her 5 times, got back in his car, and drove away.
He's paid somebody to do that.
I'm shaking my head.
Oh.
So sometime later, not that much time, other employees pulled up, found Vaughn.
Murder for hire.
Yeah, found
or
Vaughn.
however they call it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you some things that'll make you think so even more. Now, the most shocking thing, this pisses me off. You think there were cameras at the store?
This was back
3 years ago.
Well, it should have been cameras.
Yeah, no.
But then again, you said in a little small town, so
there were no cameras at the store.
Yeah, maybe not. In such a little small town.
There was a little bank nearby that caught.
The bank didn't have cameras?
Yeah, the bank did. Okay. And that's how they knew the vehicle was a sedan, a white or maroon, which I don't know. That's quite a different. It's either white or it's a dark colored. Like, I don't understand why you don't know. But anyway, I digress.
Is it because of the distance?
Could be. But still, you would know a white car from a maroon car. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Depends on the shadows. I don't know. Reflection shadows.
It could be.
I don't know.
You're right. So this camera saw the vehicle circling the area, and the shadows, speaking of, caught the flashes of the gun going off. So they caught, because of the shadows, they saw the brake lights. When you put it in park, the brake lights, they saw the shadow of him walking to the car, shooting, and walking back because of the shadows on the brake lights. Does that make sense?
Right. Yes.
Okay. Because this happened in city limits, Teague Police Department is in charge of the investigation. Now, at the crime scene, of course, rangers were there, sheriff's office was there, police were there. I believe they got some shell casings, and the autopsy determined that the bullets were a 38. Additionally, police believe the person driving the car, the shooter, may have likely been on the phone at the time.
Oh.
Absolutely nothing was taken from Vaughn's vehicle. Nothing.
No.
She had an iPhone.
No,
she had a
because
purse.
they were just hired to do one job.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've ruled out robbery, random
Yes.
robbery. And it was a plan. It sounds like to me, just like you, planned, targeted hit.
Yes.
The investigators have told family that DNA has been recovered in this case. Likely it would have been on the shell casings, maybe on the car door. But if they have DNA, it needs to be tested.
Yeah.
It hasn't been tested. I will point out that I do believe that the police Mike did have a 38 and took the gun to his possession and tested it. I would hope they did this. I did do open records request. And to date, I checked my email earlier, have not heard anything from Teague Police Department.
Uh-oh.
And by law, they're supposed to have responded. But, okay. If I get something, I will update the story.
Okay.
I don't expect I will get anything because usually they don't. But I have had, when I do open records request, I've had a few departments give me stuff. Okay. In the weeks following Vaughn's death, the family, of course, devastated. Mike was busy.
Oh.
He was at the bars. And 3 weeks later, he had a new girlfriend. Yeah. And he was seeing her before. The same dude sitting there saying he was cheating on Vaughn.
Of course.
So let me tell you a little story that happened. So Kat, the daughter, went over to Mike's house to get some of her mom's things and some ashes. Mike grabbed a scooper. In my mind, I'm picturing like a measuring spoon or a scooper, like a small scooper you'd scoop coffee, something. Does that make sense what I'm trying to get across? Okay. Scooped out some ashes, put it in a Ziploc baggie, and handed it to her.
Oh.
He's nice, isn't he?
She can only get a scoop of mom.
He can only get a scoop of mom.
What?
All the while, new girlfriend sitting on the couch.
That's what I was just going to go. And all the while, he's going with someone else.
And she's on the couch while he's scooping out the ashes.
Earlier, remember, he has to be in control. He's a narcissist, so he has to be in control.
Mike is sick and disgusting. So, I will point out this too. Another little quick story. So, Dottie texted Mike about a year after the murder, so when the year mark hit, and basically said, "I forgive you for taking my mother away."
Oh.
Now, I read these texts. Okay? They were his response was strange. If I texted you and said, "Hey, I forgive you for killing my mom," and you didn't do it, what are you going to say?
I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't kill your mom. You defend yourself.
Oh, no, he didn't. He said, "Oh, thank you."
A true narcissist.
They were strange. And it said a lot about him. I would say, "How dare you? I didn't kill her, blah, 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 blah." And all he did was, "Oh, thank you." I mean, he typed a whole bunch of other stuff, but he never once said, "I didn't do it."
Right.
Basically thanked her for forgiving him. Disgusting. Okay. So, sounds like you said it from the beginning. You have the same theory the family has, right? Mike had Vaughn killed.
Yeah.
They think he had something to do with this.
Well, we know had to be. It wasn't him. Unless did he roll up on his artificial legs and get out?
He may have driven. I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe he did it himself, but if they tested the gun, maybe he paid somebody. Now, we know. You and I have worked in this field forever. We know. You can pay a crackhead $500. You can pay a crackhead $20 and they're going to do something because they want some crack. Come on now.
Yeah.
Meth heads, whatever. Or the promise of money.
Mm-hmm.
The family thinks maybe that he had something on somebody and made them do this. I think he paid somebody.
I think he paid somebody, and I think he paid them out, because if it was the promise of pay and he didn't pay, I think they would have snitched on him.
Yeah.
But no, he followed all the way through.
And Vaughn did have life insurance, but it has not been paid out in this case because it's not been solved. It's a murder. So life insurance isn't going to pay him until they figure out who did this.
Right.
He's living off her retirement and other money she may have had and other assets she had. I believe the key to this case is the trigger person. And he's going to lead us back to Mike. I think if we could, first of all, if there's DNA, we need it tested. We need to get the Texas Rangers involved. So from what I understand, Teague PD doesn't want help investigating this. They want to do it. Now, they probably have 4 police officers all together?
Wow.
That rarely have murders in this tiny town. So I think we need to get the Texas Rangers involved. We need a new set of eyes. There's also, and I was thinking about
what are the daughters saying? Are they saying the same thing?
Yeah. And they're saying that they did not get an update on this case for 3 years until one of the local news stations ran a story on this case at the 3-year anniversary. Then the police gave them an update. They got updates every now and then through the grocery line. Oh, hey, I'm working on your mom's case. That's not an update.
No,
that's because
it's not.
you have to say something. And,
right.
And they're given a bunch of excuses. For instance, I've had a death in the family. I haven't been able to work.
So are they trying to pursue and take this case somewhere else to see that what can be done about it to other, agencies or whatever trying to?
Well, I mean, the family would be fine if other agencies came in with fresh eyes. I think that they didn't say, but I think they've given up on Teague PD.
Well, yeah.
And you got to think, they don't have murders in that town. They may have a suicide or they may have, a car crash or something like that, a DWI crash, but you don't have murders.
Well, can't the daughters of the family, petition for someone else to look into the case since it's not a place where...
If Teague PD doesn't ask for the help, they're not going to come in and help. It's their jurisdiction. They say the officers have a bunch of excuses as to why they haven't worked on the case. I'm sorry.
Can they sue them?
Not really. I mean, not really. I would like to see them sue Mike for wrongful death. That might be an option. I didn't think about that till just a second. But, we still have to work when we have deaths in the family. I can't use a death in my family as an excuse not to do my job 6 months later.
Right.
Now, I can understand it at the moment, the 3 or 4 days you get, but that's not an excuse for your detective to not work the case.
But this has been how many years?
3.
So
I know.
There's no excuse.
And again, they may mention something in passing at the grocery store, but that's unacceptable. You need to keep your victims up to date.
That's unacceptable, and it's not professional.
No, it's not professional. And I hate being critical of any police department, but this is a frustrating situation. Again, I did an open records request to try to get some information. Hopefully I will.
Don't hold your breath.
I'm not. The family also mentioned that the DA's investigators looking in it, but he's not really. What's he looking in? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think they're just trying to shut them up and pacify them, but they need to solve this case. They need to quit worrying about shutting people up, and they need to solve this case because it's been handled wrong.
I just feel bad for the family.
Yes, they are just devastated, and
right, no closure.
Right,
a murderer is still out there. an accomplice is probably still out there.
Yeah, somebody, a
So,
shooter is still out there.
and it's
Somebody,
just to think that for that to happen to your mother, that's unacceptable.
she's just sitting in her car
Yes. And
in a tiny
mm-mm.
town that is safe and has been safe for 20 years for her to do that. And then all of a sudden, somebody knows she's up there and somebody knows she's alone before the other employees get there. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, that's just a little too,
convenient.
yeah. I mean, and I would want to know if the police looked at his phone records. I want to know if they
Mm.
interviewed him.
I don't know. Like I said, it's so much, and the family has no closure. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just devastating.
Yeah.
Not on top of only the murder, it's just like, you know, did our mom matter? Does she,
I
I
know.
don't know.
And everybody loved this lady. Everybody that would go in the
Mm-hmm.
grocery store, they called her Mama Vaughn. She was just
Really?
loved. Not a mean bone in her body. And if there is anybody on this,
But that's what I'm saying. Can't they petition? Can't they,
I
start
know.
a
I told
movement, start
I
something
told
to
them to go
say,
to the city
go to
council.
the local newspaper,
Well, they have.
Go to the CNN,
Yeah.
come on,
Listen, when I do these podcasts,
post it on billboards. I don't know.
well,
Just,
when I
yeah.
do these podcasts, I always reach out to local media in the area that I do them to
Mhm.
see if they'll run a story alongside the podcast, hoping to get
Right.
more out there. And I haven't yet to have anybody respond. Not one news station gives a shit.
Wow.
I'm going to do it with this one too. I'll reach out
Mhm.
this week. But I will say, if there is DNA in this case, that's the key. If there
Uh-huh.
is DNA, that is the key. And it needs to be tested. And
Mm.
DNA technology is so good, it can test small amounts on a shell casing when you're loading the little
Wow.
gun, I don't know.
So, I mean, did they polygraph him? Did they?
I don't know. That's why I did an open
Uh,
records request, because no, I would expect they didn't. To me,
Yeah.
it sounds like, again, I don't want to drive in Teague and get arrested, but it sounds to me that they haven't really done much.
Right.
They need to step up and they need to take charge of this case. And there is a unit in Austin of retired detectives from all over the state, different
Mhm.
agencies that work these cold cases. Let's bring this
Mhm.
case to
They
that
even have
unit.
people on the internet, these detective sleuths that do it for free. That
Yeah, but this is an elite
Yeah.
group of investigators that look specifically at cold cases,
Uh-huh.
and that,
Right.
and
Well,
they'll walk
maybe that's
through it. You
something the
need new,
daughters. Maybe that's something the daughters have to do and pursue.
yeah. And I'll give them that info, but we just need to make as much noise as possible, and
Mm-hmm.
we need to get this case out there. I believe the person who did this knows someone who knows the shooter,
Yeah.
somebody who knows Mike. If he has, obviously he likes to go out to the little bars and get little girls. So, we know these guys. They're going to say to these girls, I did it once. I got away with it. I'll do it to you. I'll get
Of
away with it
course.
again.
If they haven't already said it.
That's what I'm saying. I guarantee you
Yeah.
he said it. I guarantee you this nutbag has said it.
Because he's gotten away with it.
Mhm.
And as of right now, he has.
And he has, and he doesn't deserve to. He needs to go to prison and meet Big Bubba. But there is somebody that knows somebody. You know the shooter. Somebody's mentioned something. Come on, you women that have been with him. Don't be scared. You can leave an anonymous tip with Crime Stoppers. Give the police that one clue, that one thing they need. They need the name of the shooter. That's the key.
Right.
Vaughn did not deserve
So,
this.
look, and where's the gun? Where is all of this stuff? Where's
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Yeah. This case is solvable. And it's disgusting it hasn't been solved. And these ladies, Angela, let me tell you, they are the sweetest, they deserve answers for their mom.
Right.
You don't, how dare somebody kill such an innocent person,
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be solved, and it needs to be solved today. So please call 254-739-2553 or 1-800-252-8477. That's 1-800-252-TIPS. The family is devastated at the loss of Vaughn and furious at the lack of progress in this case. There is a reward. So I'm sitting here and I'm telling y'all.
Say it loud.
I'm telling y'all there's a reward. Let's get this money. Let's get some money. It's $11,500.
Let's just do the decent thing.
Yeah, but do it for some money. Y'all need some $11,000. Come on now. Vaughn was vibrant, loving lady who deserved to live. And her family begs anyone with information to call. So, they were the loveliest people. I hated to meet them under these circumstances, but I'm glad I got to meet them. They were just wonderful. And they deserve to have closure in this case and to see whoever's responsible go to prison.
Right.
Any closing thoughts, Angela?
No, you've said it all. So just do the right thing, the decent thing. And, if you know anybody, know something, speak up, say something, because sometimes you have to put yourself in another person's shoes. And what will you want to happen for yourself?
Yeah. Share this podcast to anybody and everybody in Central Texas, in Texas, around the nation. The shooter may not be in Texas anymore. The shooter may be next door to you. You don't know. So let's get this person off the street. I'm hoping too. I just thought about this. I'm hoping. Why can't we ping phone? I think they did. I think they did ping phone records, and there was. I don't know what they've done with it, but you can ping these towers, and in that little town, there isn't that much. So let's follow up on some of these leads.
Right.
Okay, let's get justice for Vaughn Staggs. And again, please call Freestone County or Teague Police Department, 254-739-2553. There is a reward in this case. Share this podcast. Go to our social media at Silent Witness TX on TikTok and Silent Witness Texas on Instagram. And for more information, you can call your local police. You can leave a message with us. We'll report everything.
Right.
So, okay. Well, thank you, Angela, for joining me again. And
But thank you for having me.
You're my new host. All right. Thank you, everybody. And please share this podcast. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.